Logan Paul had just filmed in the Suicide Forest and had that big scandal. PewDiePie, the biggest YouTuber on the platform, had the Wall Street Journal after him. The traditional world were like, we don't want anything to do with this really volatile YouTube world and these uncontrollable kids. We're good. So like, thanks, but I've got the validation of 10 million people, so I'm good. If we don't knock on your door with this, like, you're lucky that we've come to you with this film, because like, you'll never port this audience over yourself. And then we're knocking on the doors and no one's answering.
And we're like,
what's going on here?
It's the kind of thing where it's like, once you're at KSI and you're in the amazing position of knowing that distribution's a straight shot, you know what I mean? Hopefully, it's the kind of thing where you don't want to curse it beforehand, but I mean, it's the oldest player in the book. I mean, you throw a star in something, you know?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, we kind of had no idea, and that's what I kind of love about the YouTube world, is that they're into like taking a punt. They'll be like, they'll just be like, let's just go and film this, and like, we'll figure it out later. And it's irresponsible, but it's why such great stuff gets made on the platform, is because they're not sat in meetings for weeks sort of,
it's just like
discussing it.
Cutting edge innovation, right?
Yeah. So we start shooting this, start shooting the feature, and I shoot like maybe 40 days, I think I shot. 30, 40 days of stuff. And we do like big coverage of the fight, and I think we did like 8 cameras on the fight and stuff like that, because they had their own infrastructure, but it just wasn't, we were shooting 4K. I was kind of like aiming for Netflix. So I was like, we have to keep everything 4K, and they're doing the stream in HD, and let's just do better. And then we've got this film, but we hadn't edited anything. So we get to like the week after the fight, I do my final interview with him after the fight, and it's great. We've got really great footage. And he won, so it was like fantastic. And the film was always called Can't Lose. So the film was nice. From the offset, from like the first week. He said it in my first interview like 10 times, and I was like, that's the name of the film, like that. Can't lose, like, and that's his mentality. He wouldn't answer any questions on losing, so I was like, can't lose. And so it made it, because we were like, it'll be ironic if he stood in the premiere of it beneath a big sign that says can't lose, and he did lose. So we get to after the fight, I do the final interview.
The most enormous amount of footage.
And then I'm like, okay, maybe we should start editing this now. Like, what do we do? So we find like a freelance editor. We had a bit of a nightmare with that whole. We had an editor who held our hard drive hostage for a period of time, which delayed the thing. So we're kind of like, we probably should have thought about this and been editing ahead of time to release the film after the fight, because that's when it's relevant. Like, that's when it's the story of that fight.
It's like you said before, the train was moving. You barely had time to hit record and like turn the camera, right?
Yeah, and the thing is, like, the team that was making this was like me. Like, I produced it, shot it, directed it, and then...
Was anyone helping you with the actual interviews, or was that just
No, just me. I would turn up and like set up a softbox, and we'd light it, and we'd just figure it out. And it was very much like, and that was what was great about it, was because it started with such a small project and it kind of grew, but we never had time to adjust the crews or anything like that. And I kind of didn't, my documentary style was more just, I hate having other people in the room when I'm shooting stuff, because like, I've done stuff since where I've had more people, where it's like, okay, we can afford bigger budgets now, let's have a whole crew. And your interviews are just shit, because like, it's not the same as just having a small number of people. And so we sort out the editing problem, but now we're in so the fight was in February, we're now in June. June. And we've got like a 45-minute cut of the film, really happy with it. We're kind of like, what do we do with it? Do we just put it out on like a YouTube channel? But like, realistically, it would never make the money back that we spent on it, so what's the point in doing that? And we kind of had aspirations for it. Was kind of like one of the things where we'd spent the money on it, half, I think, being like, we should make this back. If we don't, like, we tried.
Exactly. Is this the debates between the after party? Like,
so it's like, what do we do with it? And I think we all agreed that the aim was to try and take it as big as possible. So like, we'll take it to a distributor, we want it on a Netflix or somewhere like that, or on TV or wherever, and we'll do it for the status, we'll do it for the name on the sort of opening credits. So that everyone's like, oh wow, like they got it there. And
did you consider festival runs?
No. The YouTube world, like, I personally have like no interest in like festivals. I think a lot of them are like just self-serving,
bureaucratic kind
yeah,
of.
like I think especially like I've spoken to a few people in like different festivals or different things stuff like that, and like the traditional world hates YouTube. So I'm like, I'll just give up. As long as I'm making films with YouTubers, like don't need your crest or whatever, like your what's it called? The laurels, yeah. I don't need that because like KSI will get it like 10 times the amount of views, a million times the amount of views. Yeah, so like, thanks, but I've got the validation of 10 million people, so I'm good. And so yeah, that was never kind of no interest in doing that. And like the whole that's like a thing. I mean, that's like a very YouTube thing. YouTubers have no interest in award ceremonies. There are a few like YouTube award ceremonies that no one really cares about. There's like
there's the YouTube plaques, right? But that's kind of not a
that's more like celebrating how many people like that's different, but more like the I don't know. There's not like
really. There's Webbies. Was it Webbies or something?
Yeah.
But I know what you mean. It's not a like you talk about film. Everyone knows about Oscars. There's no like YouTube.
Yeah, or like and I think that the people that care about the Webbies are like the brands. Are like the production companies like that,
absolutely.
But not the people that actually made YouTube what it is. And I think so.
I mean, YouTube now is getting such a mass size that there's different communities of YouTube, right? There's the old school YouTube, which is just like the direct to the audience. This is what the art form is about, and then now it's getting like lost, or it's getting it's out.
So I think so we never considered taking it around festivals because I think it's just like even if it won something, it wouldn't really mean anything to them.
Yeah.
So we were kind of shopping around a few places, getting nowhere. And like you say, like I think like in a cocky way, we were kind of like, oh, it's got KSI in it, and it's the biggest internet event in history. Like this brought in like I think that fight got like 40 million views. So in sort of the first 48 hours, and it was huge, and it did more views than like the FA Cup final and Wimbledon combined or something nuts like that. And so I think our mindset was like, this will get picked up, no problem. Like you'd be silly if we go and knock on your door with this. Like you're lucky that we've come to you with this film because like you'll never port this audience over yourself. Yeah. And then we're knocking on the doors and no one's answering.
And no one's opening it.
And we're like, what's going on here?
Are you just cold emailing people asking for meetings?
So I think like through contacts normally. So we're going through people. Yeah. But still, you're getting like, oh, it's really good, but like, no thanks. Like and I think at the time there was like a lot of skepticism about YouTube. We just had the Logan Paul had just done, so the big American YouTuber had just filmed in the suicide forest and had that big scandal. Had that, and there was the whole ad revenue stuff with like PewDiePie, the biggest YouTuber on the platform, had had the Wall Street Journal after him for making various comments and stuff like that. Yeah. I think the traditional world were like, we don't want anything to do with this really volatile YouTube world and these uncontrollable kids. Yeah. We're good. We'll just stick doing our boring stuff, and like at least we're safe. No one's gonna come and knock on our door and tell us that we're cancelled. Yeah. And so so we're kind of getting nowhere. And then we hired a guy called Josh Barnett, who's our MD now, and he sort of came in. He's come from like ITV and a bunch of other like places, and he's like an incredible sales guy, and that was what we were lacking, was the sales guy. So like, I'm the filmmaker, Ed's the writer and the creative, Cal's the YouTuber, Rich is the business guy in terms of like the running of it, but like you need the car salesman.
You need the Jordan Belfort.
Yeah. You need the person that can talk the talk, and none of us can talk the talk. And so then Josh comes along, and pretty swiftly he gets in a few good conversations with people. They're like contacts that he had, and is just good at wording it the right way. Yeah. I think that's half of it, is just being like making it sound good. Yeah. And then fast forward maybe like a month, and we get into a meeting with Sony Pictures Home Entertainment. So they're like the branch of Sony Pictures that do all the distribution. And we sat in this meeting, and halfway through watching the trailer, they were like, "Yeah, cool. So like, when can we have the file? Like, yeah,
give us the file."
Yeah, and we're kind of like, "Oh, okay." Like, because after so much like
rejection,
yeah, it's hard. You just resign yourself to being like, this is gonna sit on a hard drive, or it's gonna go on YouTube, and it'll be great, but it won't reach the level we want it to.
Yeah, totally.
So they bought it. Or it was like a bit of a complex like financing model. I think it was more on like revenue split and a bit of advanced and all stuff like that.
Okay.
I kind of stay out of the business end of that stuff. But so they basically agreed to take the film and distribute it in the UK, Australia, and Ireland. I think it was those three.
And is that just all streaming?
No, so that's on. That's for sales, transactional sales.
Okay.
And so for the rest of the world, we were like, what do we do? Speaking to more people, speaking to like the Twitches, the different, like literally spoke to everyone. But no one would take it at the time. So I think we ended up putting it on Vimeo, on like the Vimeo on demand.
So the paid for.
Yeah, the paid for thing you do yourself is like a self-service thing. It did really well. Annoyingly, Vimeo had like no interest in pushing it. We were kind of like, it's this thing, we go around like trying to explain that it's got the UK's biggest YouTuber in it.
But it doesn't come as like a disconnect. They don't understand.
Yeah, they don't understand it. And we were like, you're Vimeo, like you're like the direct competitor to YouTube.
Yeah.
Steal some of their audience, like bring some people over and curate a page where like KSI is at the top of it, and then you've got a bunch of other stuff that people will stay for. Yeah. They're no interest in it. So we were like, okay, whatever. Didn't even manage to get, I was like, can we have a staff pick, please?
Yeah.
Like, we're
not even a homepage.
But we must have, I'm pretty sure we must have brought more transactions to Vimeo that year than any other film.
Combined?
Yeah, like than any other, because like all the other films, as much as the sales they must do, there was no one mainstream in any of them, and there was no like sales push behind it. We had like marketing spend and all this stuff like that. And yeah, nothing, no love from them. So I was kind of like, okay, that that hurts, because like we were kind of betraying YouTube in a way. We were kind of like, these guys were raised on YouTube, and we took the film and released it on Vimeo around the world.
Yeah.
And we're like, are you not going to say thanks? Nothing.
Bizarre.
So released that, had that cycle, and that was kind of it for a period of time.
But there was enough revenue that was coming from Vimeo, right? People were still watching it.
It did great. It did really well. I think that.